you are following your values, say for example, you really value your human capital. I mean, I've been talking a lot about it. There is a hire and fire. You're valuing your human capital. There is a humility. You are ensuring the way you are building up the institution. How are you taking care of your customer? I mean, who should be your customer? Being from the financial services, I said, okay, if your values or your purpose is to take care of the financial inclusion, that means you're going into the, all the remote areas of India and making sure that you are making them financially independent. Yes, there will be some cost initially, but over a period of time, that pays off very well because what you are getting is one is the loyalty. The customer remains with you. You are building the trust. And with that trust, we'll talk about your cost of acquisition. There is always the payback when you are being going on over a longer period. So let's not look into the short part of it. The customer will remain with you and it's a word of mouth and you will keep enhancing your, the services, but never digressed. Say, suppose you are saying the customer is going through the pain. Understand the pain and do not get panic that what exactly has happened. Continue with that purpose, what you are doing it, and you will see the reality and, it will actually a win-win situation while you are making sure that your purpose is achieved and you are also able to support the society and also adding it up. At the end of the day, if we'll say we are into the CSR, we are looking at some profits. Profits will flow through. But one important thing is, yes, there's a purpose and no branding because the institutions are built like this. That's what I want.
I think everybody starts with a purpose. At different phases of the organization, priorities keep a little bit changing. But there are certain things where I think most organizations who have a long-term thought process will have a purpose that we need to deal with quality products which add value to what we are giving to our customers. I think so. I think most who have a long-term thought process of starting an organization, they would follow that basic purpose. Now, they may, compromise somewhere depending on what stage they are. Now, the examples given, Tatas and these, they have been in business for generations now, and therefore I'm not bemeaning I think they are great, very respectable organization. They follow the purpose very this thing. But then there are organizations which are, 3, 5, 10 years old. They define a purpose. There's some authenticity, and there's some which is for the markets. But I think as they evolve, they genuinely mean to follow that purpose because that's something everybody wants to be. At the end, you want to be an admired company. You don't want to be a company just for the sake. And yes, you need to make money because at the end, that's the sole purpose for starting a business. So that's my view. I mean.
So do you think the legacy businesses did not face struggle in their initial years and they did not?
Every organizations, there are different stages, right? There are translational organizations that we talked about, Tata's, Larsen & Toubro's, Mahindra's, Larsen & Toubro, there are other organizations. But it's a question that needs a lot of Atma-Chintan and Atma-Manthan, is that as an individual, if we ask ourselves that why do I exist as an individual? Similarly, each organization needs to actually ask themselves that why do we exist as an organization? And every organization, when you talk about purpose-led strategy, right? They are driven by their moral compass of the values, which also decide the strategy they are in. So every organization, it is the leadership who drives the strategy, right? Now, if you talk about why I am emphasizing on the fact of Atma-Chintan, Atma-Manthan and introspection, is that leadership comes from where? It comes from welfare of the state, very old, to the welfare of the organization, right? Now, with the welfare of the state, welfare of the organization means you have a people, you have an environment, customer stroke client, right? Now, if your value-led strategy is authentic at any cost, am I making the purpose of my existence faulty? Who is accountability is built on? They're accountable to the board. In other sense, they're accountable to the set of people.
Yeah.
But this has to be very clear that is my accountability is purpose-led to the values I'm driven for. If people are misusing this accountability, then it will actually not happen. So purposeful strategy, they are actually putting it across. But this question is that, am I genuinely, so any of these three pillars, strike is that, am I equilibrium in these three pillars? The issue is that while striking the equilibrium on the people, okay, or from environment, am I making something tweaking on the stakeholder? Now, this is the course correction people has to do, always sense to it. And here comes the mandatorily invoked laws which are created to strike this equilibrium. Keep this aside. The real value-led strategies are those that in spite of my regulatory activities for environment or the consumers, I stand true to myself.
True.
And that is why the vision, mission, those are clear. And if you falter here, accidents are bound to happen, which mostly easier aspect is the people which gets the hit. Profitability is why? Because client takes the last hit because profit is the motive. So if I exist for a motive, the question is that I will falter. But my guiding principle should be, is the board, is the people, or is in my town hall, I'm able to say to it what I mean to it. And real authentication is tested in the town hall and people understands it.
Yeah.
And that is why today the question is why this transgeneration organization existed for so long means they are doing something. Maybe today's 5 years organization, tomorrow will be 50, day after will be 100.
Yeah.
So I think these are the long-term situations that need to be done. And that is why in the last, also we touched upon this, that the lens through which you look at it is the people lens, environmental lens, or only lens of revenue. Because revenue is a downstream impact. This leadership knows what they're actually doing.
I think he had a different point of view. We were talking about this, right, before the session.
When you look, see, point number one, when you're talking about the purpose, it is somewhere in the vision or mission statement, it is written. Now, when you look at the organizations, like, I mean, some of the organizations which we can say for sure is 100 years old, 200 years old, those kind of things. I'm just sharing my personal experience, right? I was there in Jamshedpur when the transition between JRD to Ratan Tata was going to happen. Even when you look at from Mr. Keshav Mahindra to Anand Mahindra, right? I mean, if you look at JRD's profile and Keshav Mahindra's profile, they were more or less more people oriented. I mean, for them, money never counted, saman. But ironically, there was one more person in Tata's named Mr. Rusi Modi. So when he was evicted from Tata Group and Aditya Kapoor or somebody was brought in, there was a complete turmoil in Jamshedpur. Because people believe that he is my father. Right? Now, these are not because of some mission values, something written. These are personal commitment which these people have taken. If you go to, for instance, if you go to Mr. Tata, I mean JRD, I don't think anybody who has reached his door has come out empty-handed or whatever thing they have got. The problem here is, what I'm saying is, to a great extent, even if you say it is ingrained in the company and all, but if you look at it, this all were ingrained in some family. Right? I mean, it's all family which was running it. Now, today, if I say, looking from Tata's perspective, I don't know whether this is going to continue for a long time. As a cast in stone kind of a thing, there can be aberrations which is going to. I'm giving a very simple example. I don't know how it is getting related. So, for example, Mr. Ratan Tata, later, Mr. Tata was very fond of stray dogs. I mean, in Bombay, a stray dog can walk into Tata lobby, into Bombay House lobby. Every plant it was allowed. Nobody should touch him, take care of him. Soon after his passing away, we are getting videos. I'm telling you because I run an animal welfare organization. We are getting videos from all over the place in Tata where, dogs have been tied and thrown out of the. This is something which can never even thought during the time of Mr. Tata. I mean, every time I walk into Bombay House, I was telling ma'am the same thing. I was told, the dog is sleeping, don't disturb it. If he's sleeping in the doorframe metal detector, you are supposed to walk out of that. So to a great extent, I mean, even with Godrej, after Mr. Godrej exiting from the chairmanship, we don't know, it's a big question mark. It's going to be a big question mark. So I would say a lot of things were actually driven by the personalities and enforced by the personalities. When now there's a change in the personality, you don't know what is going to happen.
Any value-led organization has to be personality neutral. Because if it is not personality neutral, you are worshipping from that perspective, you are governed by this. So there is a So organization has to be neutral for personalities. Otherwise, the way the ownership-driven firm or the promoter-driven firm or the family business-driven firm, that is very different.
About
Individual personality analysis is very different, how it has rubbed. So there will be values of individual strong personalities will rub on the holistic aspect of the organization because they were the started one. Correct? No doubt about it, because their influence is cutting across ages for a transgeneration, and that will remain like a king कि बस वो पैसे छाप के गया है तो जब भी आप पैसे देखोगे आप उसको याद करोगे. Correct? But I think what the economy that we are stage we are in, if until and unless we stick to it, the fundamental question that I exist for this purpose is an individual. I don't know why I exist or purpose. I will no more exist tomorrow. Organization has to slowly decide that either people, environment, customer, client, I have to strike an equilibrium. Maybe one or two it can here and there.
Yeah.
But my people should not question. Like the question is that Jesus' wife has to be beyond trust. Very simple. What I am doing, election parties are giving manifestos today, they are getting questioned. What they wish to operate it like this. So this is talking about organization.
If you look at the average tenure of people in these organizations, right? For instance, Tata's. I mean, there was a point when you joined Tata and you retire from Tata's. So people who are spending that 30 years in one entity with the same value system will have this ingrained into yourself. But today you look at the millennials and Gen Z, their average is what? 5 years max? 5 years? I mean, I would consider this 2 years, but it's max 5 years. I mean, what are they going to do?
But is it related to the DNA of the organization, or is it their own thought process?
See, point number
Let us hear
yeah.
just a minute.
Slightly
Yes,
please. We have evolved into a organization which was promoter-led to private equity-led to now employee-led. So we are a bunch of employees who run the company. Fundamentally, we all need to align on the point that capitalism is what is going to run the economy. And we need to draw a line between what is capitalism and what is socialism. Socialism can be individual philosophies. There could be a Ratan Tata, there could be an Adi Godrej, there could be an Aditya Birla who have certain socialistic values that they want to demonstrate, but that is their individual choices that they make on what they want to do. Eventually, corporate exists for capitalism. That's an underlying starting point. Now, once we decide that there is corporates which is existing on capitalism, it is equally important to define, is there a brand and what does a brand stand for and what is a brand going to deliver? The brand promise in a way gets converted to a purpose statement that you want to define, and that gets converted into meaningful consumer offering, and then you start making money. When we try to start looking at where are the individual traits versus brand traits and purpose, probably sometime capitalism and socialism starts to overlap, and that's when we probably start defining what is good and what is not good, right? These are situational, and that's why it's very important that we demarcate this and see it.